All right, should we get started? Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the virtual public meeting for the State Route 131 Capital Preventative Maintenance Project. My name is Brooklyn Kleppel and I'm the acting senior environmental planner for the project. I'm here with the other members of the project development team, including Saman Sohili and the project manager, and Nazir Babakarkil, who is the project engineer. Caltrans is the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, lead agency for the project, and has prepared a draft initial study with proposed negative declaration, or draft ISND. The purpose of this meeting is to provide an overview of the draft ISND, including impacts to the natural and physical environment, and provide the community an opportunity to ask Caltrans questions about the project. Caltrans will make every effort to ensure non-discrimination in all of its services, programs, and activities, whether they are federally funded or not, and that services and benefits are fairly distributed to all people regardless of race, color, or national origin. In addition, Caltrans will facilitate meaningful participation in the transportation planning process in a non-discriminatory manner. Related federal statutes, remedies, and state law further those protections to include sex, disability, religion, sexual orientation, and age. For more information or guidance on how to file a complaint or obtain more information regarding Title VI, please contact the Title VI branch manager, whose information is at the bottom of the slide. We've added the link in the chat to a voluntary Title VI survey, and this survey is to help us collect better information about the community that we serve. Before we just start to discuss the project, we want to discuss some of the meeting protocol and encourage participation. During the question and answer session, please click on the raise hand feature to request to speak, and the moderator will call on you when it's your turn. You're also welcome to send in questions to our moderator using the chat box at any time during the presentation. These questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation during the question and answer session. When contributing, please be respectful of other community members' concerns and input. Please note that comments made orally during this meeting will not be captured during the final environmental document. For comments to be included in the final environmental document, please submit your comments via email, by mail, or by comment card on the WIC's website. Instructions on how to submit comments will be provided at the end of the presentation. Additionally, this presentation is being recorded, and the YouTube link of the recording will be posted to the Caltrans District 4 webpage under the project heading. We will provide a link at the end of the presentation. The draft ISND is available between September 29th, 2023 and November 3rd, 2023 for public and agency review. The purpose of this meeting is to provide an overview of the proposed project, disclose environmental impacts, and provide the public an opportunity to ask questions about the project. Written comments sent via mail, email, or comment card via the WIC's website will be accepted by Caltrans until the close of the public review period and will be responded to in the final ISND. The different methods to submit comments are in the chat, and we will cover them at the end of this presentation as well. The topics to be covered in this meeting include the project's location, purpose and need, project components, construction activity, environmental review, schedule, and where the draft environmental document is available for review. We will also cover instructions for submitting public comments and will conclude with a question and answer session. The photo on this slide roughly depicts the western project limits at the SR 131 and US 101 interchange, looking west at Tower Drive. I will now hand it over to Saman to discuss the project location and the purpose of meeting.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Good evening, everyone. I am Saman Suhaili, the project manager for this project. The project would occur along Post Mile 0 to Post Mile 4.4 on a State Route 131 in the town of Tiburon in Marin County. The project limits begin approximately 1,000 feet west of the US 101 interchange, extending east to the Tiburon Boulevard Main Street intersection. The purpose of this project is to improve the serviceability and ride quality of SR 131 and restore existing drainage systems. In addition, the project would enhance complete street and support active modes of transportation by improving bicycle access throughout the project footprint. The photo on this slide depicts the existing conditions of SR 131 west of the San Rafael Avenue intersection. The project is needed to address existing roadway deterioration and bring roadway elements up to existing standards. This project is needed to upgrade existing curb ramps along SR 131 to current American with Disabilities Act standards and to install new curb ramps where there are none. Roadway components including guardrails, roadway signage, pavement delineation, drainage facilities, and electrical systems will also require upgrades and replacement to satisfy street and highway code requirements. The project is also needed to bridge gaps in the existing transportation network by improving bicycle access in accordance with the Caltrans District 4 Bike Plan, Marin County Unincorporated Area Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, the Town of Tiburon's Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, and the Town of Tiburon Bike Trail Gap Study. The photo on this slide depicts the existing conditions of the SR 131 Greenwood Cove intersection looking west. I will now hand it over to Nazir Babakarkhial to discuss the project components and construction activity.
Thank you, Saman. Good evening, everyone. I am Nazir Babakarkhial, the project engineer on this project. Caltrans is proposing to repair approximately 4.6 miles of State Route 131. Due to the length of the State Route 131 project corridor and to aid in the discussion, the project components have been broken down into 3 project segments here and in the environmental documents. The western project segment extends from Tower Drive approximately 1,000 feet west of the US 101 interchange to Reed Ranch Road, Post Mile 1.52. The central project segment extends from Reed Ranch Road, Post Mile 1.52 to San Rafael Avenue, Post Mile 3.24. The eastern project segment extends from San Rafael Avenue, Post Mile 3.24 to Tiburon Boulevard, Main Street intersection, Post Mile 4.4. The total project footprint is approximately 17.24 acres. While we go into details on what project components are unique to each of the 3 project segments that we have described, we will first review project components that are common throughout the State Route 131 project corridor. Project components that would occur throughout the State Route 131 project corridor include the rehabilitation and addition of new pavement upgrading of curb ramps to EDA standards, upgrading of guardrails to current standards, upgrades to signage throughout the corridor, improvement of pavement delineation, and modification of electrical systems. The project components are discussed in details in Chapter 2, project description of the published environmental document. In addition, a visual depiction of all project components along the project corridor are presented in Appendix A, figure of the published ISND. The photo on this slide depicts the existing condition of State Route 131 near Jefferson Drive looking west. Project components that are unique to each of the three project segments are depicted in the slides. The western project segments from Tower Drive to Reed Ranch Road would include the construction of Class 1, Class 2, and Class 4 bikeway, modification to the State Route 131 Strawberry Drive intersection, modification to existing curb ramps, and pedestrian refuge island. Central project segment from Reed Ranch Road to San Rafael Avenue would include construction of Class 2 and Class 4 bikeways, modification to the Avenida Miraflower Pine Terrace State Route 131 intersection. The eastern project segment from San Rafael Avenue to the Main Street intersection would include the modification to Moore West and Nets Way intersections. Project components unique each segments are discussed in detail in Chapter 2 project descriptions of the published environmental document. In addition, a visual depiction of all project components are presented in the Appendix A figures of the published ISND. A transportation management plan, which is TMP, would be required for the project. It is anticipated that the proposed construction would require lane closure and the shifting of travel lanes. TMP would include public information and press releases to notify and inform motorists, local businesses, community groups, local entities, emergency services providers, and local officials of the upcoming closure and the work involved. Additionally, optional detour routes for the Tebron linear trail would be offered to the traveling public for a portion near San Rafael Avenue. During construction pavement, rehabilitation would be performed in stages to keep travel lane open to the public and minimize traffic disruption. Partial lane and shoulder closure are expected as part of project construction. However, no detours or signalized traffic control are anticipated. Protect construction worker and the traveling public, traffic control would be in place while construction activities are underway. The detailed TMP discussed previously would be developed during the design phase to maintain access along State Route 131. The project is anticipated to involve night work, including paving, striping, and curb replacement work. Weekend work would potentially occur. Construction staging plans would be developed during the final design phase. I will now hand it back to Brooklyn. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Nazir. Thanks for handing it back over. Prior to the beginning of the construction-related activities, construction area signs and environmentally sensitive area or ESA fencing and temporary debris catchment systems, construction staging areas, and elements of the traffic management plan would be installed. ESA fencing would be used to protect vegetation, trees, and other sensitive areas from construction-related activities. This photo is an example of how ESA fencing was used on a different Caltrans project. It effectively kept construction activity away from sensitive areas. The temporary debris catchment systems would be installed to contain and prevent demolition and construction debris from entering any waterways within or adjacent to the project footprint. They include, but are not limited to, attachments on construction equipment, plastic bibs, plastic sheeting, liners, tarps, netting, drip pans, and absorbent materials. The environmental review that has been conducted for this project is summarized in this slide. All resource areas analyzed in the draft ISND are also listed here. We're determined to either have a no impact or a less than significant impact determination. In the previous slides, we highlighted some of the aesthetics and noise impacts due to the sensitivity of these areas. Appendix C of the draft ISND includes a compiled list of all PFs and AMMs to address all resource areas that have less than significant impact determination. Project features, or PFs, are measures incorporated into Caltrans projects to reduce environmental impacts. They can include both design components of the project and standardized measures that are applied to most, if not all, Caltrans projects. Avoidance and/or minimization measures, or AMMs, are additional measures to avoid or minimize a project's environmental impacts, but are more specifically tailored to a given project's particular impacts. The aesthetics and noise and vibration sections of the draft ISND address impacts of the project to residential properties along the corridor. We've highlighted these PFs and AMMs on this slide due to the proximity of the existing sensitive residential developments along the SR 131 roadway. These PFs and AMMs are listed in the draft ISND and would reduce, avoid, and/or minimize impacts to aesthetics and noise along the project corridor. Additionally, a compiled list of PFs and AMMs can be found in Appendix C of the draft ISND. In addition to analyzing each environmental resource area and determining the level of impact per resource, part of the environmental review process is to account for any construction activities taking place on a Section 4F resource. Section 4F declares that it is policy of the United States government that special effort should be made to preserve the natural beauty of the countryside, public parks and recreation lands, wildlife and waterfowl refuges, and historic sites. For parks and recreational areas, a de minimis impact is one that would not adversely affect activities, features, or attributes qualifying the property for protection under Section 4F. One temporary construction easement, or TCE, would include a small portion of the Belveron Mini Park parcel frontage. However, the park would not be adversely impacted. Therefore, the evaluation concludes with a preliminary Section 4F determination of de minimis. Two permits to enter and construct, or PTE&C, near SR 131 and San Rafael Boulevard would include a small portion of the Tiburon Bay Lineal Park, Section 4F resource. The park would not be adversely impacted, and therefore the evaluation concludes with a preliminary Section 4F determination of de minimis. Blackie's Pasture Park and McKegney's Green City Park and the Point Tiburon Shoreline Park were also addressed for potential impacts due to the presence of construction activities adjacent to these properties. However, the evaluation concluded with a preliminary Section 4F determination of no use. This is the anticipated schedule for the project. The public review period started on September 29th, 2023, and will close on November 3rd, 2023. Within this period, Caltrans will accept written comments from the public. These comments will be responded to and incorporated into the final ISND, expected to be available to the public by December 29th, 2023. If the project is approved, the design phase will begin next and is expected to be completed by summer of 2025. The project will then be advertised for contractor bidding. Afterwards, the construction is expected to begin in 2026 and to be completed by spring of 2027. To review the environmental document, we welcome you to visit the Caltrans District 4 Environmental Document Review webpage by following the link provided in the slide or scanning the QR code in the middle of the slide with your phone. The document can also be read in person at the Belvedere Tiburon Library, Mill Valley Public Library, or Civic Center Library. Additionally, if you'd like to rewatch this presentation, the YouTube link to the recording will be posted on the Caltrans District 4 Environmental Document webpage as well. To submit public comment, please email the project email address at sr131capmproject@dot.ca.gov. Send your comments by postal mail to the address shown on the slide, or submit a comment card to the project's Wix website by following the Wix website link also in this slide. The link, mailing address, and email address are also in the chat. Finally, we will have a question and answer session. If you wish to ask questions now, you can click on the raised hand feature on your screen to notify the moderator. One of our team members today will address your questions or provide more information. Just as a reminder, comments made orally during the Q&A session will not be captured in the final environmental document. We welcome you to submit a written comment by November 3rd, 2023. Caltrans will respond to written comments received via email, postal mail, or comment card on the Wix website in the final environmental document. We'll leave this slide up during the Q&A session so that everyone can be sure to accurately capture the email address, mailing address, and the Wix website link that comments will be submitted to. As a reminder, please fill out the Title VI survey if you'd like to. The link is in the chat, and this survey provides us with information that will help us better serve the community. It is now open for the Q&A session.
I don't see any questions coming in the chat yet, but I see that Warren Wells has his hand up. Warren, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you. This is Warren Wells from the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. Just a couple quick questions. I was reviewing the conceptual designs, and those just indicate where Class 4 bicycle lanes would be, whereas the project description described several sections of Class 2 bicycle lanes in the western and central segments. And I was wondering where exactly those Class 2 bicycle lanes were planned to be located, and if there were any examples, like the design show a discontinuity of the Class 4 bicycle lanes just across from Blackie's pasture at between Jefferson and Reed Ranch. And I was wondering if that is planned to be a Class 2 or would be simply a Class 3 where bicyclists would have to share the lane with westbound traffic. Thank you so much.
Warren, I think the person that best to answer your question would probably be Nazir, our project engineer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your question. The class 2 bikeway will start from on the westbound from Tower Drive. It goes to the southbound state route 131 and 101 that's on the westbound, and also from Redwood Highway frontage road to North Knoll Road, and on the west again on the westbound from Reed Ranch Road to Trestle Green Boulevard. If you want to know the approximate length, I could tell you that one too. Just on the westbound from Tower Drive to the interchange of 131 and 101, it's approximately 679 foot. And from Redwood Highway frontage road to Knoll Road, that will be approximately 400 feet. And from Reed Ranch Road to Trestle Glen Boulevard, class 2 would be 1165 foot. These are approximate. These numbers may change during the design phase. On the westbound, class 2 will start from Tower Drive to the northbound interchange, interchange of 131 and 101. And that's the only part on the class 2 bike lane. I hope I answered. Oops, I think the length for that part is on the eastbound is 13, let's call it 1,400 feet. And that may change during the design phase. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Nazir. Let's see. We have a question in the chat after Warren. We have from Chelsea Young. What will the bike line look like near 101 so that the kids can move? What will the bike lane look like near 101 so that the kids can move safely across the highway? Can you describe the different classes of bike lanes?
Okay. Different classes of bikeways, just class 2 is, just that goes along the highway next to the travel lane, what we call it ETW, which is the automobile lane and the bike lane are next to each other. There is no buffer space, and it is minimum of 4 feet. And class 4 is there is buffer between the automobile and the travel lane. There is 2 feet of buffer zone, and sometimes it has a vertical barrier as well. And class 1 bike lane, that would be normally it will be the standard is 13 foot between edge of travelway and the bike lane. And those are the specification. I think if there is a slide, could you put on those slide maybe, please?
Yep, Nazir, I have them up.
You have them up. Okay, sorry.
So here's class 1. Class 2. Class 4. Okay.
All right. I hope I answered that question.
Okay. Yeah, I think Nazir, I think you did a really good job on that. Let's go with our next person in line. Eric has his hand up. Eric, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. My name is Eric Artman. I'm a Tiburon resident. I'm trying to figure out how much parking will be lost as a result of these bikeways. Can you indicate total linear loss of parking for any of the area along Route 131 from the 101 intersection into Tiburon?
Okay, I think this would probably be another good question for Nazir to answer.
Oh. All right. Thank you, Eric. What we are doing is in this project, we are taking over the shoulder. Mostly, we take over the shoulder in striping for the bike lane and for all classes. I believe because the bike lane would be from Tower Drive all the way to Trestle Glen, where mostly it's shoulder. We don't have any parking except for the beginning, but we are not losing any parking space as far as I see. But again, we will see in the design phase, see if there's any changes.
I'm sorry, but if you're saying there's no parking between Trestle Glen and Tower Lane, you are sadly mistaken, and you haven't even driven that section of highway to see it, because there are many places there where people can parallel park. Now, if you drive it at maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, there may be nobody parked there. But if somebody's having a party at their house or something else, there are a lot of residences along that stretch, and there may be many people parked there at 7:30 in the evening. So I'm wondering if your environmental document or your planning has even considered the removal of parking that means a lot to some of the residences between 101 and Trestle Glen.
Brooklyn, should I address this question, or someone else is going to address?
It appears nobody in the group is familiar with this stretch of highway.
Okay. What it is, what is being marked, I'm referring to the marked parking space. If people are parking on the shoulder where there is it is not designated as a parking spot, that's a different scenario. If they have a party, people could park anywhere. But I'm referring what on these plan sheet that I see, I'm taking over the shoulder for bike lane.
And you're not considering at all that there is an extensive portion outside the white line where people routinely park, and it's obvious that it is used from time to time for parking, if you're familiar at all with this stretch of highway.
Excuse me, let me interject here. I do not think this has been closely analyzed. We'll table your question and we'll look at it further, and we will address this question. It's a very good question. Thank you for asking. We will answer this question.
All right, I'd like to know one question right now, and that's whether any Caltrans person on this call has even driven this stretch of highway.
I believe a lot of us have.
All right, let's move on to the next question. I believe Larry has his hand up, or he's next in line.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, it looks like you're doing a lot of work. You're going to put in guardrails, some infrastructure that is going to be fairly permanent. I wonder how much you've considered the fact that the state is requiring Tiburon and Boulder to increase their housing stock considerably. And in that case, we're already facing huge traffic issues. It would seem to me that it would be good to combine into this project a third lane, possibly. I looked and it looks like you have plenty of right of way. So I'm curious if you've even considered that, and where, if this would be an appropriate project to include it in at this stage.
As was mentioned a few times, this project is a maintenance preventive project, which basically addresses the repair and rehabilitation of the pavement. And it also includes drainage system upgrades. It also includes upgrading the ADA ramps. However, in collaboration and cooperation with our friends in the town of Tiburon and WTB TAM and Safe Routes to School, we have included some of their requests, and widening of the roadway is beyond the scope of this project and has not been considered because, as I had mentioned, it's a preventive measure, it's a preventive maintenance project, and this can may be addressed in the future by some other projects.
Thank you, Simon. Next up, we have Mike Gaffery.
Hi, thank you very much. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone from Caltrans for your hard work on all of this. My name is Mike Ghaffari. Actually, my father, Darab Ghaffari, worked at Caltrans for a couple decades for a lot of his career. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. But I appreciate everything you guys are doing. And I just wanted to ask, I sent an email about this. I think a few neighbors have as well. I'm a Tiburon resident, and there's a big problem where there's a Gil Martin subdivision neighborhood, few hundred people living there. There's a bunch of people on Tiburon Boulevard as well, like myself, and there's no crosswalk at that intersection. There's school bus stops. I've sent in videos and pictures of accidents with ambulances and fire trucks on the scene involving bicyclists and pedestrians and automobiles. Luckily, no one was killed the last time this happened in the last year. And I'm wondering if it's at all possible. I know that there's already been some scoping, but given that we have a lot of time, in the name of safety, if it's possible to add a crosswalk at this Gil Martin intersection at the school bus stop and the public bus stop. I can explain why. There's no other safe way for any of these pedestrians to access any of the pedestrian, system here, and they're all kind of stuck. It's something that hasn't made sense to me since I moved to Tiburon 5 years ago.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I think
Or 4 years ago, sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you, Mike. I think the best person to respond to this question is our resident at Safe Drives to School, Greg Curry. Greg, if you can please respond.
Hi, sure. My name is Greg Curry. I'm the pedestrian and bicycle branch chief at Caltrans District 4 Planning. I see exactly what you're talking about at that intersection. It is not included in this project to install a new crosswalk there across Tiburon Boulevard. In order to do that, I guess a short version is just putting in crosswalk striping and nothing else. We think would give people the impression that this is a crosswalk that is safe and encouraged to cross, and it would not create additional conditions that would actually make it more comfortable to cross. And so we don't want to put in just crosswalk markings and direct people that this is a place to cross. Additional enhancements could help that, but in order for us to do that, and I wonder if someone else wants to chime in on this part, but we would have to do additional study that's unfortunately not included in the scope of this project.
I think Rick might have something to say regarding the safety. Rick Young.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Rick Young, I'm from the Traffic Safety Division at Caltrans. So Mike, I think, like I concur with what Greg Curry just said. Safety is equally important to all of us. We definitely want to keep our all road users, especially pedestrians and those our non-motorized road users safe. I think it's going to take a little extra study to determine what features we want to install, what enhancement we want to put in here to make this crossing safer, and that's going to take a little more time and effort. So at this time, I don't think we can include just marking, putting up a crosswalk on this project, but it's definitely on our radar. We will take a look at it and maybe put in something for a future project at this location.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that makes sense. I see what you're saying. And yeah, there's another crosswalk up the road that has the button and the lights. and I leave it to you. You're the experts on how to best design it. The only reason I bring it up is just to be clear, the current way for these hundreds of people, like residents and bus stop users and children getting off the school bus, they're then stranded, like they've got to go to school. And so they're running across the street, across SR 131. And so I see what you're saying, that you don't want them to be lulled into a false sense of safety about the crosswalk. But the current alternative is that they're just kind of risking it and going for the run. They have to get to school. Workers have to get to work. There's no way, no sidewalk or no passage. There's not even a shoulder to get to a traffic light safely. So you'd have to either walk on the road with the cars going, you know, at 40 or 45 miles an hour, or just cross blindly there. So I hear you that maybe it doesn't fit into this project. I would implore you, and let me know if there's anyone to follow up with, of how we can get the study done to get going on this.
Mike, this is Eric Kim. I was a previous project manager for this project in the beginning. Now
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
someone took over. So I want to just mention a little bit of some of the coordination effort. When we started this project, we've been coordinating with the Safe Route School Committee from
Yeah.
Community Marine and Town of Tiburon. So we analyzed multiple location addition to original scope of work. So I really encourage for you to plug into Safe Route School Committee as well. And also, yeah, as Rick Young mentioned, that we have to analyze holistically not only spot location, because we have to look at the vehicle movement and safety together. So at this moment, we cannot really commit at the site, but we can analyze it. Yeah, if we can submit it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll follow up with the Safe Schools Commission and just ask that you guys to be able to look at anything there. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I add something to this issue? Maybe, Josa?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ghafouri. I want to mention a couple things as a project engineer. As I look at the intersection,
Can
the
someone, someone is not on mute, if they can put themselves on mute.
I
I
muted
think they
them.
just went back on mute, so it should be.
excuse me. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Ghafouri, I look at the Gilmartin intersection. We are trying to do at least something. We are adding an ADA ramp, and also we are adding sidewalk to the bus station. Just we are looking into that, and it is on my plan. But still, you know, just we will finalize it maybe in the design phase. So we are bringing some improvement to that intersection on that part.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if it's beyond scope. The other option would be a sidewalk to anywhere else you could cross. Like there's a San Rafael traffic light, but I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to let everybody else ask questions too. But thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It looks like Larry, John, you've had your hand up if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, you bet. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I think you guys are stepping into something you have little information about. I used to be on the Zone 4 flood board, and I submitted a little brief chat message before they read about this time, or when this thing started. Here's the issue. You guys are putting up a flood wall. I think it's a few hundred feet long along on the south side of Tiburon Boulevard, extending from the 76 gas, or it terminates actually at 76 gas station, and it continues up the hill for a few hundred feet. So you're redirecting water from Tiburon Boulevard, presumably during heavy rain, by making sure that this flood wall channels this water. But my question is, to where? Where the heck are you channeling this water that you're going to collect? This is across from the Cove Shopping Center, mind you. And this area is hugely prone to flooding. I live in the Bel Air neighborhood. And you're going to be channeling this water off of Tiburon Boulevard down to where? Are you intending to use the existing drainage system on Greenwood Cove Road? If you are, you're in big trouble. because the drainage system, the 12 drains and the pipe that takes that water on Greenwood Cove and goes out to the bay with it, is no longer channeling water during rain. What the problem is with sea level rise over the decades, it's actually channeling seawater back into the Bel Air neighborhood, even when it's not raining. So where are you draining this water that is moved by the flood wall into what? Into where? We don't know. We think you're going to wind up flooding even more of the Greenwood Cove area. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Hello?
Let's see. Nazir, can you answer this question? Or, oh, no, actually, I see Saman with his hand raised. It looks like Saman.
Yes.
Thank you, John, for the question. The sea level rise was not in the original scope of this project. This was included at the behest of the county, the Marin County, because they saw the Route 131 was being flooded. And actually, we all talked about what happens to the residents when some of that water, when the king tides happen. And the king tide, the water, this wall is a 9-foot wall, and the water has to get to the elevation of 9 feet for it to get over to the roadway. Yes, as you said,
Yes.
it
Yes,
would be.
that's correct.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, and then we, as you mentioned, we discussed this with when the town approached us, and they asked us to actually make this tidal wall, this concrete barrier, to save the route Tiburon Boulevard from flooding at that location. Yes, and that water is going to be redirected to the culvert that is nearby.
What culvert is that?
I
Can you
believe,
locate that for me? What culvert you talking about?
if I'm not mistaken, there is. I have to look at it closely, but I believe we are enhancing the drainage system at that location as well. But some of that water will, yes, we need to, as I said, this was at the behest of the county of Marin. It was not in the scope, yes, and we are concerned, and we were told by our expert drainage system hydrologist that the water will be directed. But yes, some flooding may happen where the residents are.
Okay.
So John, this is Eddie Kim. Yeah.
That's very unsatisfactory answer. I know where this came from, by the way. A lot of it came from several of us who've been on the flood board in this area, and I know why it was directed from the county. We've been getting the supervisor involved in this as well. I hasten to add that if once we flood in that area, you can't get into Tiburon. I mean, that'll shut off any traffic in that area. It's very complicated as to what's going on. There's a pump station there that we upgraded a few years ago, and the pump station itself is very efficient. The problem is that the two large 50-inch diameter pipes that are taking water from the discharge of the pump station are in terrible shape, and they themselves are sending seawater back into our system and up the East Creek. It's a damn nightmare, and if you're going to be discharging water, collecting water from this, and I don't even know how this is going to happen. I haven't seen any details. I looked at the drawings, I saw the location, but I didn't know until how high was that 9-foot wall you're putting there?
No, it's on a elevation of 9 feet. However, as I mentioned, by This flood wall just prevents tidal water from encroaching onto the Tiburon Boulevard. This neither improves nor worsens the tidal flooding on the adjacent Greenwood Cove Drive or adjacent
right.
properties.
Okay, all right, well, let me repeat that to make sure I understand it. So you're putting up this wall, right, to prevent seawater getting onto, seawater, mind you, getting onto Tiburon Boulevard, is that correct?
That is correct.
Woo! I'm gonna have to take a look at it. By the way, just FYI, I'm an engineer myself, 50 years, retired, and yeah, retired engineers, well, you know what you can do with them. But the fact of the matter is that we are very concerned that this isn't even remotely examined. I know there's a couple other people listening to this. Carolyn, if you're hearing this, I'm working on it. We need to go into more detail on this, because I think you're stepping into something here that you have no clue what's going on. We're in the midst of we're having an upcoming zone flood meeting coming up here next month, and there's so many ins and outs of this. You better be careful. We need to stay in close contact with you guys, because some of us, actually, there's more than a few engineers from East Bay Mud in my neighborhood. So, you know, we're ready. I mean, if you want to talk turkey, so to speak, we're ready. But we got to look more carefully at this intersection. It's just a nightmare. I can tell you that from living here 20 plus years, that you mentioned 9 feet. I can tell you that in a 9 feet king tide, I call that, and that's correct. That number came from me. And the why it came from me is because I was out there one night, somewhere around midnight.
Hey, excuse me, can I please step in? We have quite a few questions that are coming
Okay,
through.
all right,
We want to give
I'll
everyone
end
a
here.
chance.
All right, that's true.
So,
I can.
so
Eddie, if you
Georgia,
want to, Eddie, if you want to just respond real quickly, and then we'll move on.
yeah, Georgia. So, John, this is Eddie. I really encourage for you to submit your question in the written comment, so we can respond.
It's in the chat.
No,
I sent it right at the beginning.
We need them in, as Brooklyn explained earlier in the presentation. If you can either email them, mail them in, or go to our website and fill out a comment card on the Wix website.
That's don't you have the? Okay, I get that. I hear you. But I thought the chat would have. I thought my comment on the chat would have been read. But I guess.
Yeah. Also, John, if you can leave your email address and contact information, we're gonna hand it to our hydraulic engineers. We do understand this project cannot solve the issue. We understand that this is a much bigger issue, but this project cannot solve the
So, I'm sorry, sir. What's your name? You're talking at me now. What's your name, sir?
Eddie Kim. Yes, I'm the one of the project manager for Marin County. Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry again. Eddie.
Eddie Kim. Yes. Yeah.
Eddie. Eddie. Last name.
KIM. Yeah. I'm gonna put the
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you very much, Eddie. Appreciate it. All right, I'm done.
Thank you. All right, it looks like we have Mike Gaffney next. If you have your question, I don't see it here, but if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
I already asked the question earlier.
Oh,
sorry, but thank you.
No, sorry. Okay, it must have been.
I have one more question at the end, but I want to let everybody else ask their questions first.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Oh, and hi, Patrick. How are you?
All right, it looks like we have Jeffrey Schaub. He typed his question in the chat. To what extent will the work be done during day, interrupting already terrible traffic backups? I think this might be Nazir's question.
Yeah, thank you, Josan. We try to minimize our night work, but there are some works had to be done during nighttime, like paving, like striping, like ADA ramp, some of the ADA ramps work. That will be done during the nighttime, and we mostly work during the daytime for the other part. So we are looking into the TMP, just and we place we send out notices to the public to make them know just when will be the night work, and will be that will be during the design phase. Basically, let me cut it short. Yes. At this time, we do not know how many days and how many nights. That will be decided at the construction phase. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Nazir. Our next question is, I believe, from Catherine. Regarding the Western project segment, what are the plans for the CMPs, the corrugated metal pipes that go under Tiburon Boulevard? Which of the pipes would be replaced, and why would not the other CMPs in the vicinity of Blackfield Drive also be replaced, as all are aging and in danger of failure? Again, this is from Catherine Oliver. She's the chairperson of the Flood Control Advisory Board for Zone 4.
Excellent.
I think this is another engineering question, Nazir.
Referring to the two pipe, which is between.
No.
Hello.
Yes, it looks like it's the CMP pipe that goes under Tiburon Boulevard, and it's in the vicinity of Blackfield Drive. If I'm understanding the question correctly.
I'm still cooked in. Can I clarify that for you?
Yeah, sure. If you are since it's part of Zone 4.
Yeah. I am. That was I said that earlier, but never mind. Okay, what Kathy is talking about, she's the president of our board. What Kathy's talking about is up the road from Blackfield. There's a couple of corrugated metal pipes, CMPs, and they are in terrible shape. And I warn Caltrans, and I want to make it clear, I warn Caltrans, those are so old and so degraded, and they're big. I mean, we're talking, 60-inch diameter, maybe. They're really terrible shape. They underpin Tiburon Boulevard in that area. It's not that far. See if I can pinpoint that more a little exactly. It's just another 100 feet going west from Blackfield, something like that. And man, if those pipes, if they lose their integrity, which they're in danger of doing, there goes Tiburon Boulevard in that section. You guys really need to take a look at that section. And once again, Kathy's a good person to talk to. She's the president of our Zone 4 board. She knows exactly where they are, as with some of our other members. And boy, I'll tell you guys, those two CMPs go, you can kiss off Tiburon Boulevard in that area, guaranteed.
All right, Saman, did you have a response?
Thanks again, John. It was discussed, it has been discussed. We are aware of the situation. However, as I had mentioned earlier, this is a CAPM project. It cannot include everything. And it was discussed. This would include involvement with Coastal Commission. It would require permit, which would because it is in the tidal zone. So we know it's dilapidated. We know it needs to be addressed, but unfortunately, this is not the project that could address such a big undertaking. And just yes, but we are aware of our experts, hydraulic experts are aware of this, and hopefully this will be addressed in a different project.
All right, good luck, Godspeed. Let me just mention one thing. When we had that, we had our pump station failure back in 2012 or so. Who was it? We got sued, we, meaning the county, got sued by the merchants of the Cove Shopping Center. And because, of course, the flood back then just flooded everything out and had a lot of water damage. And they sued us and for $250,000, the county. That was back in 2012, 14. I can't remember. But and our lawyers, our county lawyers at the time, just threw in the towel and they said, you know, you did basically what the issue was is back in those days before the pump station was renovated, nobody was paying attention to it, maintenance, da 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 da. But the point is that they just $250,000, and they gave up. Our attorneys, county attorneys, threw in the towel, and they paid $250,000 out of the flood zone 4 budget. That pissed us off. No kidding. So there you are.
No, I do hear you. As I mentioned, this requires a lot of permits, a lot of coordination with the water boards and Army Corps of Engineers and all that. So that's why it would delay this CAPM project if we were to include that. But your point is well taken. It is a concern, and hopefully we can address this concern in a future project.
I was in the Corps of Engineers, so I thank you for that.
Oh, certainly. Thank you for being here, and thank you
for
for your question.
That was the combat division, but never mind. Okay, bye.
Thank you, John. Okay, we have our next question from David Barker. The current state required housing elements for Tiburon and Belvedere require that 800 new dwelling units must be built by 2032. How has the associated traffic been considered in designing the upgrade and in the EIR? Even though this is designated a maintenance project, it will preclude further improvement of traffic flow in the future, such as adding a third lane or use of roundabouts at key intersections. I think, Brooklyn, did you want to take a stab at answering this question?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Rosa. Thanks, David, for your question. So I was looking in the environmental document specifically for the section that we address this, and it's section 3.3.11. It's the land use and planning section of the environmental document, which is available on the Caltrans District 4 webpage. And it's consistent, so our project is consistent with the Town of Tiburon's general plan for 2040. Specifically their goal LU-C, and it's also consistent with the City of Belvedere's general plan for 2030, specifically the policy LU-1.3. Those are the two concerns that discuss housing and population growth. And so I wanted to point out those two sections to you just so you can address those, and we are consistent with the town and the city's plans.
All right, thank you, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It looks like our next question is coming from Warren. Caltrans could also put in pedestrian refuge on the eastern leg of Tiburon, Gilmartin, since there is no left turn. I hate to keep picking on you, Nazir, but or Saman. I think either one of you can answer this question.
This is Greg. I can also jump in because I saw that question appear in the chat at the same time we were talking about the Gilmartin Drive crosswalk. So I think that's referring to that. So I won't reiterate our previous response about why this project is not currently including that crosswalk. I think that is a helpful note to take into consideration if we do end up having a project where we can install that. So you know, we'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay. And then I think, Greg, this might also be from you because this is, or for you, because this is from Chuck about that same crosswalk. The crosswalk at Gilmartin has been raised a number of times. Mike, we spoke about this to Caltrans when they showed up to Safe Routes to School, which was not often. I am a member of SR2S, as is Alice Fredericks.
Yeah, okay. I think there's not a question there, but I understand, you know, we directed a previous commenter to make those comments to Safe Routes to School, and this comment is mentioning that they have been made in the past already. Thank you. We have been in communication with them, and we'll take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you, Greg. And it looks like, Mike, we are back to you. Thank you, Chuck. I hope we can make some progress on that crossing. Was there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, no, I'm good. I think there's a couple of people with raised hands.
Yeah, I'm
Some are-
just,
Yeah, Patrick, yeah.
okay. All right, we've gone to chat. All right, okay. I'm just going through the chats first. Okay, it looks like, Patrick, you have your hand up?
Thank you. My name is Patrick Seidler, and I'm with WTB-TAM, which is a local group that's been working for 30 years on sustainable mobility in Marin County. And I wanted to thank Caltrans and its entire staff, as well as all the public that's shown up and talked and made great comments. And just wanted to thank you for hosting the meeting tonight. And I think you should be really proud of the turnout that you've had and the input that you're getting, even though some of it's a bit tense. You know, it's good. It shows the public's engaged, and you've got the public engagement that you wanted. And so thank you for doing that. I just wanted to emphasize a few things, maybe echo a couple things that Warren Wells from the MCBC said. There's one segment that starts, right now in the plans, it has a class 2 pathway from Trestle Glen Road to Reed Ranch Road. And that's a very high desire line for cyclists in that area. And this is a really good opportunity to put that class 4 path in to Reed Ranch Road. So we really urge you to look at that as close as you can. We've gone out in the field, we've measured it, we think it works. And it would really do a lot, because if you look at the circulation in Blackie's pasture, you'd really have to go out of your way to get back in the system if you don't allow those cyclists to head westbound in the class 4 system. So I just urge you to, again, do it what Warren had recommended and asked. And then the other one is the two-way class 4 facility from Greenwood Cove Drive to Blackie's pasture. We worked with the neighbors down in that area, and when the Bay Trail came through, there was actually an alternative to put a class 1 path on the inbound side of Tiburon Boulevard between Greenwood Cove Drive and Blackie's pasture, but it costs too much money. The result is that there's a lot of cycling traffic that's on Greenwood Cove and Greenwood Beach Cove drives, and the neighbors that are out there really their quality of life is suffering, and it's suffering from the success of people wanting to cycle. And if we put a two-way class 4 on Tiburon Boulevard in the inbound direction to the downtown, then there'll be the opportunity for the cyclists to make the most direct path and hopefully clear that street up, so those folks that are living there, really, you know, they're in a situation they can't pull out of their driveways. Some of them, there's a lot of cycle traffic on the weekends, and so we're looking for a way that people can share the accommodations. We think it's a real win-win for the neighborhood. The last thing I wanted to point out was on the intersection treatments. You know, we put some design suggestions in, and we show in the intersection treatments where the pathway goes up and inwards. It kind of bows up a little bit. And what's really good about that is it provides a space for a car to get down and look left, look right before it acts, without having to deal with the additional cyclist on the road. And so that's it's actually a European trick to do that, but it's used in Marin County at the Northgate Mall. They've actually done that with the path around the Northgate Mall, where they push the pathway up for just one car length, and then the bicyclist looks for the car coming across the road, and the car can see the cyclist. Then the cyclist gets past that car, and the car queues up, and now the car's only got to deal with cars on each side of the road. So it's a really simple, not an extra cost feature, but it protects everybody. It protects the cyclists, it protects the cars, it allows people to focus on it, and it will decrease accidents in that area. So please look at that carefully. I would also like to say that, Mike Ghaffari, I think, makes a really good case for looking more at that crosswalk. We had the opportunity to meet with Mike and talk with him, and very well thought out guy. He's got a lot of real good neighbors that are right there. And he showed us some pictures of the area, and we went out and took a look at it. And I think he has a really good case. And I just urge you to do what you've already said you're going to do, which is look closer at it. But I think you have a situation that in the current condition, it's not that safe. So if there's something you can do in the project to make it safer, we urge you to look at that and to see what can be done to do that. And in closing, what I'd like to say is, there was a comment about, well, putting in these the class 4 bike paths and the superb class 1 path between East Strawberry Drive and Greenwood Cove Drive. It's really going to change Tiburon. Tiburon folks are going to be able, and the people living in the county area are going to be able to get to the store. They're going to be able to get to the schools. They're going to be really able to move about without having to rely on the automobile. It doesn't mean that everybody's got to ride their bike. It doesn't mean that anybody's got to ride their bike. What it's going to mean is some people are going to ride their bicycles. And in fact, they might actually really enjoy it. And they might get out on the weekends with their kids, and they can do it safely, and they'll be separated from traffic. And you won't need additional roads, because it's been proven in California and across the United States that you're never going to build your way out in automobile traffic, that you need to use a multimodal solution. So we're really excited for the Tiburon residents and the county residents there to get around by walking and cycling safely with the proposed changes. And what this does is this completes a 50-year promise to the communities of Mill Valley and Tiburon to connect safely between the two cities, to allow them to get back and forth and to get to schools without having to go in an automobile, and to take the most climate safe way to do it. So we really applaud the efforts that you're doing. We understand there's some tense issues around some of the subjects, but we really applaud what you're doing and want to thank you very much for that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Patrick, so much for your support and your comments. I think Brooklyn might have something to say.
Yeah, hey, Patrick. Thank you so much for your comments. I think you had some really great points, and I want to make sure that those are addressed. And so I want to point you towards considering making a formal comment. The 3 different ways you can submit a formal comment that will get a Caltrans response in the final environmental document are on the screen. You can email us, you can send us a letter, or you can go to the WICS website. I don't want your thoughtfulness to go to waste. And so I urge you, if you would like to make a formal comment, and we'll address it in the final environmental document.
Thank you, Brooklyn. That actually, I did have a question about that. And that was, we sent comments into you about this meeting. So I know that the comments for the environmental report are due on November 3rd, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that's our last day for public comments. And so as long as, if you send it via mail, as long as it's stamped by November 3rd, it doesn't matter if it comes in later, we'll still count it towards the document.
And if we do it by email, is that possible to do? Or?
That's possible. Yeah. I think our admin just put it in the chat again, but it's right here on the if you can see the screen.
Oh, yeah,
the
right.
first link right there, that's our project email. And you can submit a formal comment that way as well.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Brooklyn. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for your comment.
All right. Thank you. It looks like Jeffrey Shaw, you have your hand up if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. I have 2 comments. One is a comment, one is a question. I have a lot of friends, and I'm a strong advocate for the bicycle community. There are sections of Tiburon Boulevard that are very, very dangerous. I don't know how you could slip in a bicycle lane in certain sections of Tiburon Boulevard, especially past Blackie's pasture headed into Tiburon. That's why we have the bicycle path, the Tiburon bicycle path. Is for cyclists. People who live in Tiburon who have bikes or who walk or have scooters or EVs right now, e-bikes, they use that. It's not safe for motorists or cyclists, in my view, to use certain sections of that road. We've seen it now, and it's not good. That's number one. Number two, my question is, to what extent does Caltrans plan to perform work during the daylight hours, and to what extent will that impact traffic? Because as you probably know, traffic on Tiburon Boulevard during certain hours is hellacious. It can take upwards of an hour to get out of Tiburon in the late afternoon from Main Street all the way to the highway. And it can take equally as long sometimes getting in during the morning, as well as during those times of the day when school starts or school is let out. And so that's the question. I understand you want to do night work. I think all of the work should be done at nighttime, just like it's done on many highway projects. So to what extent will work be done during the day? To what extent will it impact traffic? And that's my question.
Okay, I think Nazir actually fell off because he had internet connection issues. But I believe Saman. Oh, there you are, Nazir.
Thank you. Thank you. The work schedule will be prepared, just during the design, just design phase and construction, when we need to work in the nighttime and when we work in the daytime. There are certain items will be during nighttime, definitely, and that would be paving, striping, and some ADA ramp closure. Daytime, maybe, some area where we are replacing the electrical work, and just while the traffic, we could leave that traffic open. We try to avoid many night works, and while we could do the work in the daytime as traffic allows us. I think that would be mine. Eddie, you want to add something?
Yes. So my name is Eddie Kim. I've been project manager for Marin County from Caltrans more than 5 years. This is not my own project. However, some of my experience for other CAPM project I worked on. So most likely during the daytime. So before we close any lane, we're going to look at the traffic condition, and just we want to make sure the delay going to be minimized less than 5 minutes. So that's usually nighttime. However, some of the curb ramp work sometimes can be done during the daytime. However, we already understand it. Kids go to school, so sometimes we try to schedule those work during the summer vacation time rather than school season. So that has been, I cannot guarantee 100%, but that has been case for other projects. If we can help, thank you.
Andy, it sounds to me like what you're saying is there will be times during the day where the road will be cut back to one lane. Is that correct?
No, not really. Usually the day walk, usually on the sidewalk or top ramp, on the shoulder closed sometimes possible, but traffic lane cannot be closed because traffic condition.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from McKinney. The Gilmartin crossing has been raised for multiple years with safe routes to school. Personally, when I started with Post and SR2S, when my now senior in high school was in second grade, what will it take for Caltrans to take the need crossing seriously? Again, either Greg or Rick.
I can start. I want to tell you we do take it seriously, and I think if the roles were reversed and I were sitting in your position right now, I would be saying the same thing. And so I understand your frustration. it is something that we do take seriously and we think is important. And I apologize that it's not currently part of this project.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, maybe I can just add a little bit to that. So I do want to iterate that we do take it seriously. At the same time, we also want to make sure whatever we do, we're going to do it properly. We're not going to make the condition worse. And that's why we do need to take the time and effort to take a closer look at things. But definitely, we do take safety for all road users seriously at Caltrans.
Thank you, Rick. Our next question is from Eric. So essentially what Caltrans is saying here is that this project was planned only with the needs of bicyclists in mind without flooding, parking, or pedestrian crosswalk concerns, right? Maybe Saman?
Yeah, please let me just add to concerns about Gil Martin, as it was mentioned by Rick and Greg. Yes, it is taken seriously, and as was again mentioned earlier, a holistic approach needs to be made, and a study that merits the safety of this intersection has to be undertaken, because as you would agree, just a crosswalk will not deter vehicles that are traveling 40, 50 miles an hour to considerably slow down. This whole intersection has to be thought of. Advanced warning signs has to be made. It's not my line of expertise. But I understand that other means have to be adopted to make this intersection a safe intersection, and it merits its own study and its own technical analysis. And rest assured, it's taken seriously. Now, what the question that was Caltrans, what Caltrans makes, I'm going to go back to that comment. We are not saying that we are not going to address other issues. All that we talked about was this project. It's beating the dead horse, is a CAP-M project. And as I mentioned, in collaboration with multiple of our friends in Marin County, we have added other features. And some of the features we just can't add because there is a limit, there's a scope, there are funding that prevents us from addressing all your requests, unfortunately, on this project. But it is tabled and it will be addressed hopefully in other projects. That is the fact of this project. We are trying to include as much as possible as we are allowed, we are afforded by our budget constraints on this project, and we have done a few, and hopefully we can, as I mentioned, address it in other projects.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It looks like we have 2 more questions left, and we have about 6 minutes left of this meeting. From Greg, I represent the Greenwood Beach homeowners, and we agree with Patrick Seidler that a 2-way class 4 on a portion of Tiburon Boulevard is a very valuable improvement to the project in this area. Our narrow road is very unsafe for the current volume of cars, walkers, and bicyclists. We have submitted a detailed comment letter to the project reflecting this recommendation. Our deepest thanks to Caltrans for your efforts to improve this corridor for the safety of all.
Yes, this is Greg. Thank you so much for your work on this corridor. It's a very important corridor, and I really appreciate your work to deal with all the issues that are at play. We are the Greenwood Beach homeowners, and we have been a designated bay trail for decades now for bicyclists and walkers. It's a very narrow road. There's parking along the road, which further narrows it. And we have fast bikes, slow bikes, kids with going to school, pedestrians, people of all ages walking in this corridor, and it's extremely unsafe and difficult for us to get in and out of our homes. And so we really applaud the efforts to create a safe bikeway in Tiburon Boulevard for everyone. We do have the project addition that Patrick Seidler brought up, which is the 2-lane bikeway along a portion of Tiburon Boulevard, because we are concerned that bikers heading to the east will not find their way to the eastern Class 4 bike lane, and there's room for the 2-lane bike lane along a portion of Tiburon Boulevard. We have submitted a detailed comment letter on behalf of our neighborhood indicating the technical potential of that and its feasibility. I just wanted to in person reemphasize our thanks and reemphasize our hope that you put in that addition to your project. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And I think Brooklyn might have a response.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I really wanted to thank you for your comment, and we look forward to addressing all your concerns that you've outlined in your letter, and we really appreciate your support. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Brooklyn.
Okay, next comment. This is from Mike Ghaffari. Thank you, Patrick, for your comments, and everyone from Caltrans for your work here. I agree that these important investments in bicycle and pedestrian safety are very important. The better we do here, the more we can actually relieve vehicle traffic and people have safe walking and biking alternatives. Thank you for everyone for your work. Well, thank you, Mike. And Brooklyn or Simon, would you like to say anything more to Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We really appreciate all your comments during the public meeting, and I look forward to addressing your formal comment in the final environmental document.
Right, and then we did have one more that snuck in from, oh, sorry about that. What was that? Okay, we do have one more that snuck in from Jack Ryan, and this will probably be our last question as we only have 3 more minutes. What is the budget for the project? Simon, I think that would be on you.
Yes, this one is on me. And unfortunately, I gotta take just 1 second to make sure I provide you with the right amount. I have unfortunately forgotten that. But
Yeah.
Saman, I think they're asking construction capital budget, I believe. I believe this is about 12.7 million program.
yes,
For the project. Yeah.
thank you, Eddie.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear what that was. Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah, 12.7 million. Yeah.
Thank
For
you.
the construction project. Yes. Yeah. So we don't have $100 million. So unfortunately, yes. Please understand it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay, and that was our last question. Brooklyn, if you'd like to close out the meeting.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. And thank you again for those of you who spent your evening with us. We really appreciate all of your input. It's very valuable to us. And I do urge you again, if you'd like to leave a formal comment, the 3 different ways that you can give a formal comment to us are on the screen. And our last day to submit a formal comment is November 3rd. We really appreciate you spending the evening with us, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I will keep this up for maybe 1 more minute longer if anyone needs to copy any of the information down.
Yeah. It's best way to